for that, Mark. Now, Debbie, let's come over to you then, and bring us. We're introducing the youngest peer, the youngest member of the House of Lords. Who is she?
Well, yes, good afternoon, everybody. And that's a very good question. And this was a rabbit hole that took me to a warren, actually. So let's look at the London Economic, which announced that Boris Johnson is going into business with Steve Bannon, Charlotte Owen, and a uranium entrepreneur. And this came from an original report from, I do apologise if I don't pronounce her name correctly, Carol Cadwaladra, who's a journalist for The Observer, who noticed this. And the article goes on to say that the Right Honourable Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson was added as a director and co-chairman of the energy transition company Better Earth, which will work with national government, and it's based in Sevenoaks. Now, this is interesting because this was added to Companies House on the 1st of May 2024. So just keep that date in mind. I'm not going to go into detail on Better Earth. I'm just going to show you their website. They're very much into solar energy. I'm sure we'll be doing more newses on this in the future. But this isn't the first time that Boris has been interested in Better Earth. And I just want to take you back to an advice letter of a business appointment that was announced UK Gov, which said that Boris should not be involved in anything to do with Better Earth for 2 years after his term as Prime Minister or as a minister. And he shouldn't give advice on matters that don't conflict. Well, according to my records, Companies House, that was the 1st of May he was appointed. He didn't resign till as Prime Minister until June, I think it was, 2022. So it's not quite 2 years there. So a little bit of a discrepancy. But anyway, who's Charlotte Owen, you might ask yourselves? Well, Charlotte Owen is indeed now a peer. She's the youngest life peer that Boris has recommended. She was a senior parliamentary assistant, a SPAD in a sense. She's only been in Parliament 5 years and 8 months, I think it is. And people are absolutely staggered at the way that this young lady has been elevated. Her mum lives in Alderley Edge in Cheshire, which is a very expensive part of Cheshire, I believe. And her dad sadly died 2 years ago, age 91. The Spectator perhaps is speculating with this title, Boris's Babes to Join the Lords, because there is and has been a lot of talk about the remarkable resemblance between our newest Baroness and the Prime Minister. So let's go to the Lords themselves and we'll look at Baroness Owen of Alderley Edge. And what is she interested in and who is she? So not much information, but she's a Conservative. She's a member of the pre-term committee. Her policy interests are energy and environment. Well, that will come in handy, wouldn't it? Since she's also now on the board of Better Earth. She's interested in online harms. I'm sure Mike's ears will prick up on that. Tech, developmental AI, women's health, young people. She's concerned about the northwest of the UK, perhaps because her mum lives there. And globally, like me, she's concerned about India and the USA. But what experience does she have? Well, according to the Lords, none. So you can see why so many have been surprised at her sudden elevation. But hey, you know what? Don't take my word for it. Let's have a listen to Baroness Charlotte being interviewed by Channel 4.
I mean, why do you think that Boris Johnson appointed you to the Lords? What were you told at the time?
You simply get an email through with your nomination form.
So were you surprised when you got it through then?
I think everybody's surprised, aren't they?
But it was as much a surprise to you as to everybody else.
Of course, nobody really expects such a thing. It's an honour.
I mean, there was an array of lurid claims about you online, and a lot of people believed at least some of it. We've been talking about digital fabrication of women's images against their will. I mean, just as damaging, clearly, is the online fabrication of facts, misinformation, as we might call it. Do you worry that people don't know what to believe about you, for example?
Falsehoods and the creation of falsehoods online is always wrong, and that's why I want to be an advocate. I want to help push this law through to prevent more women becoming victims of this technology. And I believe that misinformation and disinformation and deepfakes as a part of this will form a huge topic of conversation for the next decade.
So there you have our youngest life peer. She was 29 when she gained her seat in the Lords. She's 31 now. But she's got some areas of interest, actually, that I share too. So when I went to look at what debates she'd taken part in, here we've got one on the NHS app, medical records, and this is the rabbit hole that I was explaining that led me to a rabbit warren, and in our second segment you'll see why. And she's also been talking about tackling spiking, and I just want to remind everybody that these are two areas that I've been looking at intently, and on UK Column website you will see my hypothesis on the word spiked, because it's also coming up for more legislation. It was talked about in the King's Speech. And also, as you know, we've been talking a lot about the NHS app, but you know what? This one is especially for Ben, my next slide, because if you want to know more about our newest life peer, go no further than Tortoise Media, who, of course, as you know, Ben has been talking about in huge detail. So perhaps more to look out for with the Baroness Owen of Alderley Edge.
Thank you, Debbie. We'll have more on this immediately after the ad break. So let's just do that now and say, if you like what the UK Column does and you would like to support us, we do need your support. £5 a month is a membership. It's less expensive if you take out an annual membership, but please do that if you possibly can. Share our material, because as usual we are shadow banned and the rest with Facebook and YouTube and so on. We're currently suspended from YouTube once again because of the coverage of the polio vaccine in Gaza. If you would like to pick something up at the UK Column shop, there's quite a bit of material there to have a look at, especially we continue to mention this, Your Life in Their Hands. If you haven't got this or distribute it around the place, please do. Debbie, very briefly, your blog.
Yes, my blog. Well, actually, thank you to all of our wonderful members, because a lot of my blog this week is your comments and your views, but we're also going to be looking at the autumn budget and the Darcy report.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. A reminder of the UK Column on location at Bristol, 19th of October 2024. Lots of great speakers there. All the UK Column people will be there as well. Bob Moran will be there, and a whole bunch of other people. So please do join us for that if you possibly can. Tickets are available at the UK Column shop. And Brian and I will be speaking at the Heritage Party Conference on the 28th of September. Details at heritageparty.org. And final reminder of a Rally for Peace at Glasgow. If you're in the Glasgow or Edinburgh area, head along to that tomorrow. That is at 1 p.m. at the Commonwealth Monument in Glasgow Green. A bunch of great speakers at that as well. If you can possibly support them, that would be fantastic.